First of all, it's important to get a good night's sleep the night before any important exam.
Oh my God. I have to get to school today. The CAHSEE writing exam. It's today. I have to get ready.
Now, we've already done a lot of preparation in class for the CAHSEE essay exam, so you should be pretty good to go. What I'm going to do in this video is just give you some tips and a little bit of review. It's important to be mentally and physically prepared before any important exam. Make sure to eat a good breakfast. Protein is brain food, and you're going to need that brain food when you're taking a 2-hour-long test. Cereal, yogurt, milk, and eggs are all examples of good proteins you can eat for breakfast. It's important to be on time. Being punctual will help you be calm and ready at the beginning of the test. I also want you to be mentally prepared to take this test, and that means having an aggressive attitude. This test isn't going to beat you. You're going to beat this test. So now let's look at an actual CAHSEE test essay question. First, we're going to look at the whole page that you get on the CAHSEE essay test, and then we're going to look very closely at the prompt. The CAHSEE prompt is going to look the same every time, the CAHSEE essay page. The first part is going to be a reminder. This is just telling you that you're going to write on this topic, that you can use a title, that you may not use a dictionary, you can write in print or cursive and write clearly. So this is just telling you the basic rules. And then the checklist is also things that you should already know. Read the topic carefully, organize your writing, provide a thesis, use appropriate words for your audience and purpose, and check for mistakes in grammar, writing, spelling, punctuation, etc. before you do your draft. So this part of the prompt and this part of the prompt are not really the prompt. They're just things they're going to tell you every time on the exam. This is the part we're going to focus more closely on. I want you to use the ABC writing technique. First, I want you to attack the prompt. Second, I want you to brainstorm around get your ideas out on paper on a thinking map. Third, I want you to choose your order, which is outlining. Now we're ready to attack the prompt. And we're going to look very closely at the prompt section, that is the second paragraph of the CAHSEE prompt. And we're going to look very carefully for the to-do words. That is the actions, the writing actions that the prompt is telling us to do. Now let's look more closely at the prompt itself. This center part in the box will be the actual prompt for the CAHSEE exam. And the CAHSEE essay test will always have two parts. A first paragraph, which is sort of an introduction or a wind-up to the topic, this paragraph, and a second paragraph, which is the part that's actually telling you what to do. The first part can give you ideas for your exam. Let's look at this one. American scientist Louis Agassiz believed that objects should be studied closely to understand the natural world. His students would study a single natural object carefully, spending hours and sometimes days in the examination. In the end, they had a greater understanding of a particular part of the natural world. That's the first paragraph.
Yeah.
The second paragraph tells you actually what you want to do. This is the part where you are going to attack the prompt. And when you attack the prompt, the first thing I want you to do is look for the to-do words or the action words, what the prompt is telling you to do. Write a narrative in which you describe a time when you examined something very closely. You might discuss an object in the natural world, an author's use of language, or a picture. Whatever you choose to discuss, describe the occasion so vividly that your readers will feel they were right there with you. Okay, so what is it telling you to do? Write, describe, discuss, describe, okay? And it also says write a narrative. So this topic is actually a little bit of a hybrid. It's telling you to tell a story about a time when you looked at something very closely. But I want you to see that when you write these, when you circle these words, when you attack the prompt, you're focusing yourself in on what the prompt is actually telling you what to do. When you first look at a prompt that's 2 paragraphs long, you may feel overwhelmed. You may feel confused. Hopefully this clears things up for you. Remember, what you have to do is attack the prompt and unwrap the questions so you're clear about the writing actions, the specific writing actions the prompt is telling you to do. Once you do that, it should feel a little bit easier. On this prompt, I've had students write great essays about watching a snake in a zoo, watching skateboarders go down a hill, and one student wrote a great essay about watching his baby sister learn how to walk. You can choose anything once you think about that it's just asking you to write a story about a time you watched something closely. So for this essay, a time order narrative outline would work the best. So you're just going to line up your events. First, next, then, finally. And even though it's a narrative, remember there's a strong emphasis on description in this topic. You might also come across a compare and contrast essay, in which you're going to be looking at the similarities and differences between 2 people, 2 places, or 2 things. In that case, you might want to use this sort of Venn diagram bubble map. Another common type of topic you might see lends itself to these 2 columns. That's the pros and cons of something, or the advantages and disadvantages of something. That could be a certain career, a certain school. It can be any 2 things where you're looking, any 2 choices where you're looking at the pros and cons and advantages and disadvantages. You might also use a simpler descriptive bubble map in which you just put in the center the thing you're describing and then come up with all the details coming out from the center of the thing that you're describing. Next, you'll have to move from the thinking maps to an outline. Remember in your outline to be thinking about your thesis statement and each of the body paragraphs. To get a high score on the essay exam, you will have to have a clear thesis statement, topic sentences in each of your body paragraphs, and an introduction and a conclusion. If you follow these steps, you should write a really strong CAHSEE essay exam. If you do that, it's going to bring your overall CAHSEE score up. Remember, you've got to have an introduction with a strong thesis, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. I'm not going to wish you good luck because you're well prepared, and people who are well prepared for this test don't need luck. Have a great test.